welcome all of you to our February Lunch and Learn. Thank you for letting us change the week. And I am Lori Troe. I am president of the Salina League of Women Voters. And this is Sabrina Rosario with Kansas Wesleyan. And my friend from church, I really don't know much about her other than she's a master gardener. I know that. We had huge flower beds and vegetable beds all summer long, and they're getting ready to plant those again soon, I'm sure. So, and she is going to present on the Community Resilience Hub, and I had the pleasure of being invited to a 2-day training that they put on about civil discourse. And so as we were doing that, I said, you should come and present this to your group to our Lunch and Learn. So that's how we're here. So, Sabrina Rosario.
Thank you. I also want to thank you for changing the time, because we changed the date and we changed the time. I teach a class that ends at 12:05, so I asked Lori if we could start at 12:30 today. If you want to hear a little bit about myself, I am from Brazil, and I moved to Salina with my husband and 2 kids in 2020 when he started working at Kansas Wesleyan University. He plays the violin and viola, and he conducts the Kansas Wesleyan Orchestra. So if you've been to a concert, you probably saw him there. And the Community Resilience Hub is a new department of Kansas Wesleyan, but that has been on the works in the minds of some people since 2020, and I find it funny because we moved here when this was starting. It had a different name. It was called the Mentor Project in the beginning. And in 2021 is when University UMC, which is where we go to church, and Kansas Wesleyan started a community garden in partnership. And that's how my relationship with gardening and sustainability and Kansas Wesleyan came to be. And then when I was able to work, then I started at Kansas Wesleyan in September of last year. And in my opinion, the Community Resilience Hub is the most exciting thing that is happening at Kansas Wesleyan right now. So as I said, we're a new department, and this is our vision statement: a place where change agents come together to engage urgent social issues through education, action, and advocacy, working together to nurture local and global resilience. And I'm going to break it down so we can talk more about it. So Sinek, I don't know if you heard about him. He is a book author and a TED talker, and he says that a lot of people can articulate very well the how and the what that they do in their lives, in their works, in their jobs and families, but not a lot of people can articulate well the why. And so we wanted to start at the Community Resilience Hub with the why. And our why is for the sake of the people, for the sake of the planet, and for the sake of our future. This is why we started the Community Resilience Hub. So when we say to nurture, we want to listen to get involved with, to care for our community, for the growth of people, minds, and planet. And when we say local and global, we understand that if we want to affect any change, we have to start locally, we have to start at home. But if we have a positive impact here, we're also having a positive impact globally. And when we say resilience, we mean victory but not without toil, which is the motto of Kansas Wesleyan, Palma non sine plure, and we thought it would be fitting to talk about resilience that way. Now, when we talk about how, this is just the words that you saw on the vision statement, a little bit more developed. So when we say engaging, we want to ponder, to talk to people, and to communicate well what we want to do and what other people want to do for our community. When we say urgent social issues, we mean the triple bottom line. Have you heard about the triple bottom line? For people that are studying sustainability, the idea is that to foment a sustainable environment or organization or movement, and you have to have 3 bottom lines instead of just 1. And the 3 are the economy, the environment, and the social aspect of things. So economy, environment, and social. So we want the triple bottom line to be something that Kansas Wesleyan thinks about and follows when they're making their decision, and when we are making our decision as a university. And we also want to talk about justice. When we say through education, education is the strength of Kansas Wesleyan. Of course, we're a university, but we want to marry academic and practice. We want to be there to teach our students very applicable skills. When we say individual and collective action, we mean that we want to work with our community. We want to change individually and expose our students to a journey of change too, but we have to work together. And when we talk about advocacy, we talk about informing, empowering. As a university, we're able to gather a lot of information, and we want to share this information in a way that it empowers our students to promote the change that they want to see in the society. So what we're doing here is creating a space. It first was a conceptual space, now it's a physical space. I do have a little office, Peter Science Hall, room 322, for people that want to make a positive influence in the world to come together, to collaborate, to coordinate, to nurture. And this is a framework that we decided to act on, and this is, you can see that in the map that we're going to discuss in a little bit. So we decided to focus on 3 areas: education, action, and advocacy, to nurture that resilience in the middle for people, mind, community, and planet. Because what we do locally affects the planet too. So our strategy, what we're trying to promote is resilience. And we want to increase local capacity, community cohesion, union, and resources. We want to reduce risks, conflict, consumption, and trauma. Now, how does Kansas Wesleyan support the community? When we created the Community Resilience Hub, we wanted to call it a hub because we want to be a reference in convening people from different areas, convening resources, convening ideas, bring people together so that we can affect change. One of the conversations we had when I started working is that any issue or problem or anything that anyone from Kansas Wesleyan brought, I would look at the people on the table and say, this fits. Everything fits with community resiliency. And then our conversations were, we can be convener of people so that we can have positive change together, and we don't have to solve everything ourselves. We can bring people together, and each person will bring their expertise, their knowledge, their contribution. So we want to be a reference in convening. And these are the things that we think that we can support in our local community. We established those principles, our foundation, our compass, to value each other one and for all, to always seek common ground and focus on the things that we agree on, to engage and overcome challenges together. And we want to consume less and live more abundantly at the same time because we share more. And we want to be a hope-filled response to the challenges that we face as a society. We want to respect diversity. That's why we talk about positive peace, about being hope-filled. We want to build community and do hard work and cooperation together. And then we just thought this agricultural principle was beautiful and fitting. And then it says there are no experts. When we come together, we say that we put our minds on the table. So if you have knowledge that I can use, I can borrow it. If I have knowledge that you can use, you can borrow it. And we always have something to learn. So in a nutshell, this is the vision of the Community Resilience Hub. Now, this is what we call our vision map, and it's our plan of action for the first year of existence of the Community Resilience Hub. It has a lot of things, and this is what I look at every day and what we look at when we think what fits and what doesn't fit and what we're going to do now, what are we going to do later. So in the education area, you can see their learning journeys. Those are trips that President Thompson and some partners did to several farms around in Virginia and in California and in Philadelphia, I believe. And I also was in a learning journey where we visited a university that has a regenerative farm. And they take the kids there, they take the students there to learn about it and then teach regenerative agriculture to the campesinos, to the little farmers that are around that area. We have been visiting farms. A lot of the focus of Community Resilience Hub is right now on food. So food security, how can we bring that information to the students? How can we show them how much food insecurity there is and what can we do about it? Kansas Wesleyan doesn't have, until now, a tradition in talking about and learning about agriculture, but this is where we started. I had a faculty once come to me and say, why are we doing agriculture? And I said, because we're in Kansas. I think that alone is a very good reason to think about agriculture. So this is what we did with the learning journeys. We are designing, as we speak, academic offerings, and we are going right now for 2 tracks. One track is for the students that are already enrolled at Kansas Wesleyan University and would like to learn more about agroecology and would like to learn more about food security. The other track is for people that are not students and that are not necessarily interested in a degree. They want something quicker. So we're thinking about certificates that can last between 6 months would be the minimum, or 6 months and then a year of apprenticeship that has also to do with regenerative agriculture. And because I said that we want to marry practice and applicable skills, we have a partnership, and that's when we move into the action here. I think that was my note. We have a partnership with Jason Ingermanson because he has 5,000 acres of farm, and he decided to convert that farm to regenerative organic certification. And he is starting by converting 600 acres of those 5,000. Eventually he wants to convert all of it. But this first 600 acres that he is converting is the farm where our students from Kansas Wesleyan are going to be able to go and learn the practical skills that they need to make that transition from traditional agriculture to regenerative agriculture or regenerative organic agriculture. And if that sounds a little unfamiliar, regenerative organic or regenerative agriculture is looking at a farm as it was an ecosystem and understanding how to use the wisdom of nature in how you produce what you are going to consume. The first year here that talks about food security, creating the next generation of farmers and teaching farmers how to make a transition is something that is going to affect change in more of the long term. So the food security project is something that we would like to make a difference at a more shorter term. We got a grant with the Kansas Rural Center and St. John Baptist Church and Kansas Wesleyan, and an organization from Wichita called Common Ground Producers and Growers, because we want to create what we're calling a food corridor between Salina being the north of it and Wichita being the south of it. There are 12 counties in between those 2 cities. And what we want to do, Common Ground Producers and Growers has started this model in Wichita. I don't know if you've heard of them. Donna McLeish is their CEO. She is an amazing woman. And what she did is she created a mobile farmers market. So she buys from local farmers, Her criteria is what she calls responsible farming, so no pesticides and no herbicides. She buys the specialty crops that they produce, and she takes it to places that are food insecure. What we call food deserts, which are places that don't have any fresh produce available, or nursery homes or churches, different places. And she got certified to accept SNAPs, EBT, and senior market vouchers, which are vouchers that have to be used at a farmer's market. But usually people that live in nursing homes don't have a lot of mobility. They weren't using that at all. And when she started taking the food to the nursing homes, to the place where people were, the increase in senior market vouchers, she said it increased 218% in her first month of activity. She has about 5 or 6 farmers that supply to her, and she delivers it to more than 30, I believe, 35 places in 2 counties. So what we want to do is to bring that model throughout this food corridor, bring that model to Salina, have our students experience this, taking food from a farmer to a place that's food insecure. How do we help them? And she also practices zero waste, so everything that she buys and is not sold is then donated at the end of the week. And also when she goes to the farmer, she buys everything that they have. And she says that the farmers really like to make business with her, because if they go to the farmer's market, sometimes they don't sell everything and they still come back with some produce, and she buys everything that they offer that day or that week. So
Where
this
is she
is,
at?
huh?
Where is she now?
She's in Wichita. Their family are farmers, I believe 4th generation, and her family owns the Pearson Family Farms. Yes. Now, this is what we're doing in terms of how do we engage the community outside. Now, how do we look inside the campus and make a difference there too? And this is this 3rd tier here in our action called Campus Sustainability Plan. Right now, I have my first intern, and we are conducting a campus, what we're calling a campus scan at Kansas Wesleyan University. We're using a framework from ASHE, which is Association for Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education. And this is a big report that looks at everything that the institution offers. Institution characteristics, what types of research, how does operations work, planning, sustainability, how does the campus work, where are the opportunities for us to improve the way we do things, dining services, purchasing, how can we make all this more sustainable? And we hope to finish this by the Board of Trustees meeting, which is in October, and we want the intern to present the results of the campus scan to the board. And that will inform then our campus sustainability plan. What are the things that we can do? What can we improve, short, medium, long term? And how are we going to make a difference also inside the campus? And then for the advocacy part, the training that Lori was mentioning, we had a civil discourse training last October, and we defined civil discourse as conversation to enhance understanding, because we want to find common ground and we want to learn to talk to people that have different opinions than we do, that think differently, that have a different worldview. So we had that training with about 26 people between faculty and community. It already generated some fruit. There was a student there, remember Clay Gagnon? He is the president of the SGA president, and he decided to start a club called Let's Talk. And he wants to use the tenets of civil discourse and I don't know if I can call it techniques, but the things we discussed there, he wants to use that structure to bring people together and talk about different issues. He had a meeting last month. His second meeting is next week, and he wants to talk, how can we make the campus a better place? And CRH is supporting him in that. And with advocacy, we are going to have another civil discourse training on August 8 and 9. So on August 8, it's open to the community, and anyone can take that first day. And the second day is going to be a half day, what we're calling Civil Discourse 2.0, for the cohort that watched last year and for the cohort that watches on August 8th. So we can all get together and go in deeper in our conversations about civil discourse. And this is what I had for you. Thank you for listening, and if you want to talk or ask any questions, I love this project. I think it kind of evolved together with my family when we moved to Salina. I feel that this is where I have to be right now. There are a lot of little initiatives happening all around this map, so sometimes I feel like I'm balancing a lot of balls and I can't drop any of them. But I am very passionate about it and about making a positive difference.
Say what your background, your educational background is.
Sure. Okay, so my undergrad is in biological sciences, and I have an MBA in environmental management and sustainability as well.
And were those in Brazil?
They were both in Brazil, yes.
So how did you get so good at English?
I was an English as a second language teacher in Brazil. I started when I was in college to, work, get some money, go to the congresses, buy the shirts that I wanted without asking my mom for money. And then I did that for over 10 years there.
I'm reading a book, a local book, written, some of you may be aware of, Mike Durrell wrote it, and it's your husband has a chapter, right?
I think, no, I have a chapter.
You have a chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pathways,
Pathways.
What's your page number? That's okay.
Depends on your.
We'll find it.
Okay.
I read it, and it's very good.
Thank you. It was before I was hired. And it was very interesting because President Thompson also has a chapter.
Yes.
And then when the book came out, he said, yeah, I read your chapter. You haven't been hired yet. I said, I know. The story right before that.
It's very good.
What kind of budget do you have for all this?
The first, we are operating because of a donation. Bieber is his last name. He donated for us, and we are actively looking for funding, locally, nationally, writing grants, because we need to sustain this work past this year and next year, which is what that donation allowed us to do.
How many students in your class?
I teach environmental awareness, so it's under the biology department, and I have 29 students. They have one of the liberal arts themes. They have to fulfill at least, 3 credits, a number of credits in each of them, and one of the themes is planetary stewardship. Don't quote me on that, it's probably worded differently. And so it's very interesting because I have students from different majors. They take this class because they have to fulfill that credit, but that gives us interesting conversation. Like the student from accounting doesn't respond the same way that the student from business and the students from the sciences. It's a nice mix. Yeah.
What sorts of volunteer opportunities do you have for members of the general community, and how does one plug into that?
That is a very good question. I can certainly plug anyone in the community, I believe, in any of our action projects. Either doing the mobile farmers market when we start doing that here. We are in the beginning of this grant. It's a three-year grant cycle. So we are having informational meetings to try to get to know farmers around the whole area, but I think that's an opportunity. I don't know if someone from the community could participate in the campus can, but I would love that. I have to ask about that, honestly. Yes.
I was at a meeting the other day and they talked about a mobile laundromat, and somebody from Kansas Wesleyan was kind of working on that. Is that part of this or is that separate?
Not that I know of, but I need to find out who's doing that, because that also fits.
So in talking about the farmers, have you had any conversations with other sort of sustainability people in the community, such as, well, I know some has been done at the food bank or with the Prairie Land Market or the Land Institute. Do you have?
Yes, the three of them that you mentioned are people that we are in contact with. We had a meeting with Karen Couch about 2 weeks ago. We want to offer summer professional development series. We want to do it about food insecurity this summer, and we want Karen to be one of the speakers, for example. We have been in conversation with the Land Institute. The mentor project started with the Land Institute because it was a conversation between Dr. Thompson and Dr. Wes Jackson and Dr. Sanderson, which is from K-State. This is where it all started, and it was initially called the Mentor Project because there is a land in Mentor that was entrusted to the university. And so they thought they were going to build something there, and then the plans sort of evolved into more things, and now that we have the partnership where we have the farm place of regenerative organic farm to send the students, that is not the case anymore. But the Land Institute is aware. We have been having meetings with them. The summer development last summer was with Wes Jackson and Stan Cox, if I'm not mistaken. So we are. And the Prairie Land Market is also a good contact that we have because they have a great network of local farmers where they buy from. We just invited Vicky Spicer to be part of our Women in Leadership event that we're doing. Do you know the 7x7x7? Have you heard about that? A 7x7x7 is an event where we have 7 people that have 7 minutes to present on something. And then at the end, the audience can ask questions to any of them. We're doing one of that with only women. The theme is Your Voice Matters. You're all invited. It's on March 30th, which is a Thursday. I'm not sure what time it starts. I think at 5:30, the clubs of the university will have a fair, and I believe at 7 o'clock, we're going to have the 7x7. I can send you better information, Lori, that you can distribute to the group. And we invited Vicky Spicer to be one of the speakers to talk about Prairie Land Market. And we invited Donna to, and she's going to talk about the common ground producers and growers.
So who would you rather 5 speakers
Me? I don't know. This event was focused on women. I actually suggested, because I have a friend, her name is Katie Kitchen, and she works at Blue Beacon. And she says she works only with men all the time. We already had secured the 7 speakers, but Dr. Case, which is organizing, said, oh, that's such a great idea, we'll call her next year. I think that would be a good one for this.
Do you have any women, and Kate, by the way, is back to the table, so that's.
Oh, I love Kate, she's a great friend.
Do you have any women speaking around the topic of race and overcoming racism on that panel?
I don't think we do this year.
And that's already set, you said, right?
It is already set, yes.
I can put you in touch with somebody.
I would love that.
I think is that the second year of this? I think
Yes, this is the second year.
Last year.
Yes, that we're doing the women in leadership.
Yeah.
So if you don't get more funding after next year, it's all over?
I hope not. I'm working very hard to get more funding.
Right.
Yeah, the idea for our academic offering launches is to start in fall 2024, because we need to finish designing them by summer, because then it has to go to the accreditation committee and externally to the higher learning education committee, and then internally to the curriculum committee. And then we need to
give about half a year for those to respond, and then we can put it in the catalog to start on 2024. And we're trying to offer something different. For example, with the community garden, one of our challenges is to involve students, because when we're starting to plant, which is last week of April, first week of May, they're all the way up here with finals, and they're about to head off to their homes. So we want to be bold and do a certificate between April and October, which is more, it correlates more to the growing season. Some people are not very happy about it because it's going to cause more work, but that's what we want to do. It's okay.
You said 29 students, and I'm just thinking, maybe some of the students took the course because they needed credits. Required. Once they into the course and find out what it's all about, do you find a lot of enthusiasm in that group?
I do find a lot of enthusiasm, not from all of them. And I tried, for example, I put a meme on the slide of a chicken foot filled with rings. And I said, have you seen this? Do you know why the egg prices are so expensive? This is an environmental matter issue. You know, we have to talk about this. And then from a policy standpoint, what's going to happen? And the chickens have the flu. Where's this flu coming from? Oh, now it's being transmitted between wild birds, and you cannot control them the same way you control the birds being intensively farming. So that was a very interesting discussion. For example, there was a student that said, I had no idea why egg prices were so expensive. I said, this is a very much part of your lives. So I think I hope we're having some interesting discussions, and they will take those away with them. The other week, I had them read the module on grasslands, because that's what they're standing on, so they should know more. And I said, wherever you go or come back to, do you know what is the biome? What is happening, where you are standing on? And so I showed a video about the Dust Bowl. And I said, I have to show a video because I'm not Brazilian, I'm not American, I'm not from here, so I don't think you should hear it from me. So I showed a short video. But before that, I said, have you heard about the Dust Bowl? And a student from Hawaii said, does it have anything to do with football? I'm like, not that ball, that's another one.
That may be happening later.
It was the same week. We had that was on Thursday, and the Super Bowl was on Sunday. That's probably a lot in their minds.
What biome do you come from?
I come from the Atlantic Forest, which I'm from São Paulo, so southeast of Brazil. I actually am a girl from the mountains. If you read my article, you saw that. It's like the north shore of São Paulo State, which is the Atlantic Ocean. And then you have a chain of mountains, and then you have a valley, which is where my town is from, and then mountains on the other side. The mountains all around. When we moved here, my husband said, I don't know if you're gonna like that. I've never been here. He came for the campus visit, came back. We were in North Carolina at the time. And then I said, well, I never lived in the flat plains, so it's the new biome for me. He's like, oh, you. I said, well, it's true. No mountains around.
Are these kinds of discussions taking place in farming regions of Brazil? Because there's some massively growing farming regions for soybeans and
Yes, and there, in my opinion, Brazil has a problem with agrotoxics. Our legislation is not good enough, and our food has a lot of poison there. I don't know how far reaching is the conversation about regenerative agriculture there.
Sabrina, could you say, just go over that, if I got that right, is it August 8th? Tell me about this. Is it
The civil discourse.
Is it a student/community conversation?
The civil discourse is a training for faculty, staff, students, and community.
That's August 8th.
Huh?
That's
on August 8th,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
And we're going to talk about conversation to enhance understanding. For example, we discussed political versus partisan we're so polarized. So what if we focus on our values and on the political issues that are just, how do we want we're talking about the government, we don't want to politicize, which means actually partisan size, I'm just inventing a word. So we can actually talk about issues and values and what matters most, because everybody wants to see improvement. And where is our common ground? Everybody wants to see their country, their place better. We just think about it differently, but where do we find common ground and work together?
And this is just for Kansas Wesleyan staff, or is it for more than that?
No, it's for staff, faculty, community. If you are interested, I can get your information and add you to the list.
There are a number of initiatives that have happened over the last decades in Salina. There was a resilience group that met regularly, and there was Talk Salina was a group that tried to do civic discourse, civil discourse on various topics. So
I think that this student is actually heard about that before and said, what if we bring it back? I don't know if he's bringing Talk Salina back.
Well, I was one of the,
yeah.
through the Kettering Foundation, and Ann and David, and Kettering does have funding that helps these kinds of initiatives.
Oh, that's
And
great.
they're worldwide,
Okay.
and they do a lot of what you're talking about, focus on values. And COVID kind of shut us down because we couldn't do the face-to-face. And I was thinking about bringing it back, actually, because there's plenty of topics to talk about yet. But what you're doing sounds,
Can I put
like a better forum.
you two or anyone in contact with the student? Because I think he would be thrilled if you would like to do that at Kansas Wesleyan.
we've got a
space.
Facebook page,
Okay,
and also I think there's a web page too that you can go look at.
let me guess.
But I can get that information for you later.
Okay, I'll get my business card too, and you,
What's the webpage?
It's a Wix page, and I don't, it's a free Wix page, so it's got that more complicated URL address in there.
Something about Talk Salina.
Yeah, just Google Talk Salina and see if you can find it. There's been about 20 people that have been trained in Kettering City Discourse. Several of them have left town, but there's a few of them around yet.
And a few people here were part of the resilience group too. Thank you.
Yes, here we go.
This is Joe Jackson, who's married to Wes Jackson.
Oh!
So if they would send our email address to you via this way.
Yes,
For
yes,
that- For that topic.
Oh, you got it.
Whatever it is.
yes.
Okay.
So, any more questions? Let's give her a hand. Yes, thank you. And I want to add that for those of you who didn't already hear this before we started, in March, our Lunch and Learn is back to the second Tuesday. It's March 14, and we will be talking about the Electoral College and how that works and doesn't work. And we will be having the speakers of Professor Anita Specht, who's the one who talked about the Equal Rights Amendment last month, and Andrew Bedris. They're both Kansas Wesleyan professors, and they want to get their students in on the conversation as well, so we are having this at the Kansas Wesleyan campus on the 14th of March at 12:15. And we don't know where yet, so you'll have to wait for that information. We also have our annual meeting on the 15th of April, and we have not decided who our speaker is going to be for that yet, but that will be coming out. And it's on a Saturday afternoon, and we have dessert bar at the hotel, which is called
Courtyard by Marriott.
Courtyard by Marriott. Thank you very much. So, thanks again for coming. Thank you to Sabrina.
Sure.